Howdy fellas, Frankie Day, back again on YouTube. Today on YouTube I have another collection of builds of my past. This time this is a paper model again, made from scratch using Paul Matt's volume number 4 of aircraft drawings. This is in a scale of 1/32 scale. And you can see that pesky little pilot over there by the cargo entry door, where they load your cargo up and everything. And influence the size of the airplane. This is made entirely out of paper, folks. This is the markings of D-Day. Incidentally, this probably would make a good build for Russell Gosling's D-Day build on the first of the year. Gives me an idea. I might make another one of these on his D-Day build. Hard to say. Maybe. Anyway, folks, getting back to the model. This is made entirely out of paper. Only thing it's metal in it is 4 wire for the landing gear struts. The wingspan of this airplane is exactly 37 inches, and the fuselage length from the tip of the nose to the end of the tail lamp bridge is exactly 28 inches, and it weighs about 6 grams. I just had it took it down from a ceiling in our living room. And I just got this. It's a little dusty, folks, so please excuse the dust. Dust comes with age. I built this exactly about 40 years ago. And this was kind of a rough one to build, but I got together pretty good. Using the spars and wing ribs, the fuselage formers were made out of hard Bristol board. And the outer skins and the wing skins and SLs and the rest of the airplane was made out of vanilla cardstock. And this is my Skytrain, or Dakota, how you call it. Our great friends across the pond call it the Dakota, and we call it the Goony Bird, Skytrain, and the old C-47. This is a great airplane. This is probably one of the oldest flying airplanes that we have today. It's still flying. Donald Douglas made this airplane back in 1935. It started out as a DC-2. The DC-2 evolved into the Bolo bomber. After the Bolo bomber was in, pretty soon they made the upgrade of the DC-2 into the DC-3. And when the war was imminent and was underway, they were enlisted to the United States government as to the Siegel Army Corps as C-47 Skytrains, and they also participated during the Berlin airlift. They used during the Korean War, and a lot of them today are in the hands of private owners, and a lot of them are in museums. Incidentally, I think we've got one that has Kings Island out here in Ohio. It's painted a certain color of white and red. That generally usually flies every summer, but I haven't seen it flying around for the past 15 or so years, so it too may be retired into a museum somewhere or in the hands of a private collector. But it's a dandy of an airplane that builds quite good for me. No problem. I can build them out of chewing gum as long as I give you a good set of plans. I hit that little Lady Susan, give you a little walk around a little bit so you can see. It's a big airplane. That Lady Susan's dwarfed by the size of it. Entirely made out of paper, folks. I painted all the jab. I masked the wings using black and white for the evasion stripes. Also, the rear tail empennage area is masked also. And using a stencil, I went ahead and painted yellow on the cardstock first, and went over the stencil with the using decal masking paper, and airbrushed the airplane all the jab after that. A little weathering top for the fuselage right there. We'll zoom in a little bit, and using a fill tip marker, which is a highlight pencil, I use that for the color in the doors right there, the entry doors, so the troops can get in. And the icer boots were masked off and airbrushed. Propellers were made out of cardboard, and they spin quite freely, as you can see. And you can see from the rear of the tail fan area, that's the designation code D8. And of course, you got to have your victory characters on the side of the fuselage, on the right side only. And I've done that. I use that in my hand. And it took about 4 months for me to build this airplane. And It fills the bill. My wife likes it. I have it hanging up in our. As you can see the thread on the fuselage. I just took it down from the living room. I got about 20 of them hanging up in our living room right now. I got a B-52 made out of paper. It has wingspans about 7 feet. I got that hanging in our living room. I got a wonderful wife, boys. I'll tell you one thing. She puts up with my models. No other lady or woman I know that puts up with this stuff like my wife does. But she knows there ain't no harm by them, and they're my little treasures. And they keep me young. They keep me going. And we back off a little bit here, and I flip around the backside. And the backside is treated just as good as the top side. The Evasion stripes have been painted. You can see my hands are dwarfed by the size of this model. This is a one-of-a-kind, fellas. That I haven't seen any C-47s out there as big as this one. I've seen a lot of 148s and 1/72 scales and 1/144 scales, but this here is big. I weathered the exhaust tank behind the engine nacelles. Again, folks, the tires were turned by using a series of cardboard discs, chucked up to the mini lathe, using a file around the tires as it was turning to give them the shape of the tire itself. You can see the weathering behind the nacelles underneath the wings, using an airbrush. And the wheel wells again were painted using a chromate green, simulated by using a green highlight pencil. And the aerial struts were scaled from plans. This landing gear does retract on this airplane right here, folks. And when it sets on the landing gear right there, they fold up. So I went ahead and glued them in a position so they won't retract anymore. I regret doing that. Landing gear struts are made out of rolled tubing, and you can see the Evasion stripes on the rear fuselage, the tail wheel. There's the entry doors right there. Trailing edge of the wings with the Evasion stripes. And it's indeed a beautiful looking airplane. Pick it up by the leading edge and set it back on the Lady Susan. You can tell, but my hands are pretty well dwarfed by the size of the model. I like them big, fellas. I like them big. And I got a C-54 Skymaster with a 4.5 foot wingspan. I got that hanging in our living room, so I'll probably bring that up next, fellas, so you like that. I've got a Lancaster in this scale. Wingspan is just a little bigger than the Dakota here. I think it's about 43-inch wingspan. And this was a fun build. I enjoyed doing it, and I just got to think about it yesterday, of the builds of the past. And so, here's my 1/32 scale C-47 Skytrain, fellas, in all its glory. Wearing a olive drab, neutral gray in the bottom, Evasion stripes, wing D8 for the flight that used. It's all yellow. Astrodome on top. I use a vacuum form machine to vacuum form that. And the cockpit's fully detailed. And almost the kind plane. Okay, fellas, this about right here concludes my builds of the past, featuring my 1/32 scale C-47 Dakota. And please stay tuned, fellas, for Speedy 197's 1960 jet and prop-driven aircraft. I've got my F-4 Phantom coming up in a few minutes. I'll give you an update posting on that. And the good Lord's willing, and the creeks don't rise, and it don't snow too much out here in Ohio land. I should have my Phantom done by tomorrow night sometime. I hit a schedule, folks. So there you go. That concludes my build. So we got Panzer Bill. He's got his OVI Bronco. We call it the Seahorse. And during the Vietnam War, and he's got late entry on that, and I'm glad that he's in with us. He had a lot of stuff on his plate that he had to finish, like a lot of us do, before he proceeds to the next group build. And good to have you back there, Mr. Bill. Good to have you back, bud. I'm quite sure that Mark is quite pleased you joined in. And we got Steve, which is Jake Cutter, and we got him. He's got his, I believe he's got an F5 that he's entering in, and also he'll probably have an update posted on that real soon. And Mark has got a interior posting on his F5, and it's going to be a very interesting airplane because they're inspiring me in buying one of those kits too. He's probably going to paint an experimental color of Ghost Blues, which they had during the 1980s. I mean, during the 1960s they used. Use experimental colors, and we'll back off here, folks. Give you a bye-bye. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. May God bless, and please stay tuned for my next video on my update of my F4 Phantom on Speedy 197's group build. I have that, so stay tuned tomorrow again for another Builds of the Past, fellas. I'll keep you on your toes on these Builds of the Past, as long as you like them. I'll keep posting them. Get bored with them, I'll take them off. Okay, boys, we'll catch you later, fellas. May God bless. Bye-bye.